Take it appeal.
Okay. It might not even just be just applicable to what we're reading and stuff, but it's like my problem is my extreme case of ADHD, and I read something, and the next thing you know, I need to know. I need to know about it. I need to dive in further to it. I need to, and next thing you know, I'm in Mark and I'm in Luke, and is that on the plan? Well, no. But honestly, you guys, and here's the thing, I'm confident that you guys probably felt the same exact way. Genesis is a hard read.
It is a hard read.
It's a hard read, okay? It's a hard read. There's a lot of name dropping. There's a lot of
Yeah.
like somebody's and then the wife of Kapuki and then the Kapuki's cousins and third wives and then brothers and it's just like, okay, okay, all right, and I'm really trying. So then I go into that's when I normally will hop over to the message version. I need the story to kind of come to light a lot more simplistically. Otherwise, again, I'm reading just to read.
Yeah.
Now, and I know it's got to be in there for some kind of reason, but Genesis is a harder read. Honestly, Judges is kind of a harder read too, but there's these little blurbs in there, right? But yeah, Jessica, it was a harder read. So don't feel like discouraged if you felt that way. That's totally normal. And if it just went right over your head, and it is the effort, and that is kind of what ended up leading me into this is so like God's math and how he views our life is entirely different than the way we see it. And so often we don't think we have enough, or we don't have enough knowledge, or we don't have enough this, or we don't have enough that. And we're just like, we are not equipped to handle this. Like what we see as our current circumstances, what it is we have, is not the way that he sees it. Like he views everything entirely different. His math is not our math. Like he doesn't roll with algebra. His math doesn't math up, right? Because he's over here with two fish, five loaves. That's what we see with 5,000 hungry men. And that's not even including the women and the children. So it was probably more like 15,000 to 20,000 people that are all hungry. We see the two fish and the five loaves. And it's a little boy who has it. That's what we see in our very limiting human eyes. Okay. What Jesus saw was enough food to feed 5,000 people, right? However, he didn't just create something out of nothing, he multiplied what was willingly given. So the little boy, that's all he had, but he willingly gave it, such a small sacrifice. And Jesus then multiplied what was given with a grateful heart, like, this is all I have, but you can have it. And he was like, that alone to him was like, that's all I needed. I
Mhm.
will do the rest. The rest is up to me. You give me your little, I will then multiply it. That's all that I need.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
The heart posture behind everything.
the next one is exactly that. This story is like so beautiful to me that it made me emotional. And even though I've read it a million times, it just really, really stuck out to me today is when the poor widow, right? Everybody's coming into the room and they're all giving their sacrifices. And she's among some really rich people that are giving really big sacrifices. Of course, naturally, she's going to feel a little embarrassed what her heart was, and everybody looking at her like, oh my gosh, that's all she had. So she only had two very small copper coins that together was still only worth like a fraction of a penny. It was not like, and people are offering thou gold and all of these things, and they're feeling good, right? And she feels embarrassed, but she wanted to give something. It was all that she had. And so she's walking up to give her sacrifice. Everyone's looking at her a certain kind of way, like, why would you even give that? That's embarrassing, right? And at the end, Jesus says, well, so what she saw, what everyone else saw was shame, embarrassment, everything else, people. Okay. What Jesus said is, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than everyone else here. And everyone's like, homie, I just gave like, the riches. I just brought in
Lump
a
sums.
gold this. I just brought in all this money. What do you mean? And he said, what you guys see is a penny that she's trying to bring to the altar as a sacrifice. That's what you guys see. That's what she sees. What I see is somebody who just gave from the purest form of their heart all she had.
Yep.
That was all she had to give. It was
Ugh.
a performance. It was so selfless from her heart. And he says she gave more than everybody else in this room. Again, it is not looking at your current circumstances as what it is that he wants to do with you because he sees it so much different. What you might see is somebody's broken, gone through a lot of things like this, that, and the other. Maybe you don't have the skill set somebody else has. Maybe you don't have this. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe he doesn't see it that way. He sees it as you have even the littlest thing that you have. Surrender that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Speak out. Still utilize the small that you have and watch me multiply it. That is what he does. You don't need to have everything. It's almost better if you don't. The more little you have, the more kind of not prepared, not blessed, not whatever you think that that is in comparison to everybody else. He actually wants to utilize you even more so than anybody else. The more
Yeah,
broken
it's
the
easy for the
story.
rich to give to the poor, right? But it's harder for the poor to give all that they have to somebody else, knowing they don't know what's gonna happen next. It's a lot, it's such a different heart posture.
The more unqualified you feel, the more he actually probably says you're the elite. I want to use you 30 times more than the people you're looking at that you feel are qualified to be able to do these kinds of things. Maybe their testimony's bigger, maybe they're this, maybe they're doing better, maybe they're walking better, maybe their life looks a little more squeaky clean, maybe they're fully sober and maybe they're fully this and they just look like these pinnacle icons.
Mhm.
No, he says you with as little as you have, which is broken of your story, which with all the mess and all the crap and all the junk, he didn't choose to go to an elite rabbi at the well who was doing a great job. The woman at the well was an adulteress. She had multiple husbands. She was living with somebody who wasn't even her husband. And he chose to put her story in the Bible. Okay. So it's not what you have, it is your heart and your sacrifice. She gave from faith. And that's the way that he views things. So don't feel underqualified. He just wants you to come as you are. That's it. What else did I write down? Yeah, it just his math works entirely different than ours. Stop looking at what you currently have as the level God wants to work through you because that's not the way that it works. He wants the very little that it is you have. Maybe you're even saying it with your voice trembling, but say it. Watch him multiply it. Give that penny, watch him multiply it. I've been
Mhm.
in that scenario time and time and time again where I feel it on my heart to give and I don't even have it to give. I'm barely holding my head up above water myself. I don't have it, but
Mhm.
I'm obedient and I give it. And
Yep.
what he
Mhm.
does that next week, it's just like,
That's where it's like when they say like quite literally take that leap of faith. It's he
Yeah.
doesn't want you to be lukewarm. He wants you to literally do a trust fall into his hands.
Oh, I love that.
And I'll never forget, like I was had to live out on my own, single mom, two kids. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, God. And I like was stuck in this rut for so long. And I finally like my bath time, I talked to him and it was like, I need to take that leap of faith where like I'm not fully trusting him. That's why I'm stuck in this rut. So I literally I did it. I left. I literally put my stuff in laundry baskets and pulled up in front of the apartment complex and I got myself an apartment. And I was like, okay, this is me taking the leap of faith and fully trusting that you are going to provide. And he 100% did
and
the
then two
entire.
years later, through her obedience, she was able to be that same exact apartment that she took her leap of faith to go into when God called me. to take that leap of faith was where I brought my 2 little bags, my 3 kids, and went and bunkered up in her 2 bedroom apartment with her 2 kids, my 3. We slept on bunk beds, like because of her obedience, then opened the door for me to have somewhere to go when I didn't have anywhere else to go. I
And
don't
that's
have
what it is.
family
It's
that
that
has
leap of
out
faith.
there.
You
Yes.
just trusted. And I remember you in the same scenario, we were both kind of like, well, we were both scared to leave our current situation. And it wasn't until we just literally gave it all to God and just trusted that He was going to provide because we had nothing. We
We
had
didn't
like
have the answers.
nothing to
We
our
didn't even
name.
know how it was going to work out. It was
Nothing.
taking it day
Yeah.
by day.
So, but we did it. We just did it. And then after we did that, I feel like that's when both of our lives shifted and changed into something like neither of us could ever have imagined the life that we have to like blessed and how things turned out for us. When we thought like, okay, well, I don't even know if we're going to be able to make rent next week, but like, here we go.
Here
But
we go.
it happened and it worked. And I never knew each month how it worked, but it always did. And obviously I know how, but like, on paper, off math wise, don't know how it worked.
Isn't it wild though? Because I feel like as we just in the last 7 weeks, it's like as I'm reading, it's like there's certain things that like just stick with you hardcore. And it's like just those are like the bullet points in every story is having unshakable faith
Yes.
and having
Not questioning it.
yeah, like truly being obedient and having that faith and just surrendering the rest. And
And
it's
it's really
like,
because it's really hard to do. It's very hard as human beings to do that.
well, because our flesh and the enemy constantly is in our heads trying to tell us something entirely different.
Well, and not only that, the way it looks, right? It's like, yes, of course, it's so hard. That's the whole purpose.
Scary. It's scary.
Easy because you're looking around like, yeah, it's great to say have faith until you are in it, right? Like you are in
Yeah,
it. And
that's
it's
the
like
true test.
all I see is chaos. All I see is no matter what direction, it's like it's just a mess. Everywhere is a mess. Everything's a mess. There's no way, like, I have $1. How am I supposed to get like it's just
And it works.
yeah. And then you're just
Isn't
like,
it crazy? It's crazy.
in your hands, I have to just do what you're calling me to do because it's never just sit there. Ever, never, ever, ever, ever is it
No,
just sit there, wait until you're better, or start tithing once you make enough money, or
no.
start helping people once you yourself get help, or start doing this or do it is that's not the way that it works.
You'll forever have an excuse then.
Oh yeah. And your life just it's when you feel like you're on a hamster wheel, it's because you have not surrendered enough. I think at least it's because
Oh
your
yeah.
faith is you're walking on unsure ground. It's like and that was part of a oh, I keep thinking it was on call, but I did it on my stories. I like read this devotional and it literally was saying like the soil of the valley that you feel like you're in the pit of like the struggle is actually like the most valuable soil to help you grow. And
Yeah,
it's
that's when he uses you the most.
100%. And it's like if you have that faith and you just truly pray and buckle down and just stay in that faith and don't start letting the flesh or the enemy make you go haywire, everything from that point on will start to move differently.
And then if you're not careful, what happens is then things start feeling better and good and you
Yep.
back off.
Yeah,
Yep.
that happened to
Yep.
me.
And
That happened
so
to me.
what does he need to do? He's like, okay, I need to cause a little chaos again. He will disrupt your entire life to get your attention. He loves you and he is a jealous God over your life. He doesn't want you idling over this, paying attention to that. He doesn't want it. He wants your full attention. And it's such a beautiful thing because nobody else could ever reward us for that the way that he can. Like, truly, what a good father. Like, think about it, you guys. Like, he is so slow to anger. Like, if I were him dealing with the world, dealing with all of us, we are a nightmare.
Today's world, especially.
He is so slow to anger. He is so good. He is so faithful. And he's still just like, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me. And so
Yeah.
just and it's not always going to look really easy. And maybe sometimes it's not like your entire life is falling apart. Some of us need a lot more of those shakes because maybe we're a little bit more stubborn, or maybe like we really had something heavy on our heart that God wanted us to do. And he's like, homegirl, I'm going to throw everything off again. And I notice I will recircle the same exact trials and tribulations until I directly face it and combat it. And until I do that, I will
Yep.
literally almost, it's like, I'll look around, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am,
He's like, you're missing the mark here, girl.
yeah, I'm going through the exact same thing all over again because I didn't handle it the first freaking time.
Right.
Right. But he is he's calling all of us. That's why we're here. That's why we're diving in, and he doesn't expect perfection.
Nope.
Thank goodness gracious. Okay, it's not about that. He just wants the effort. It's not about being the holiest in the room, the almightiest in the room. It's not about that. Like I said, it's just what it is that you can give even when you feel like you cannot give anymore. And as women, we have the world on our shoulders. We
Mhm.
truly do. We are so strong. It is like incredible. We can be met with the most challenging things in our home, with our kids, with our families, with spouses, with women, with people, with it's all of the things, and we will still go to the grocery store, get the groceries, smile at the attendant.
Yeah.
We can carry the world, and it's so beautiful what we are capable of, but it's hard. But we have him right there. And a lot of times for some of us, he's calling us to step out in faith. And we keep asking, we just want him to just do it for us. And that's not the way it works. He can only multiply what it is we give. He can only work with our level of obedience. And so we have to first take that step because he says, trust me, like Chelsea says, it's a trust fall and it's blind. He doesn't want you to know what that next step is because then where's the faith? He wants it to look completely confusing with no answers, just a complete blind spot. And still trust him walking out on the water, or when the storm's going crazy, like just saying, hey, like all I need you to do. And it's such a peaceful thing when I start feeling really anxious and like panic attacky with stuff going on, I'll just breathe and I'm like, it's all good. It's in your hands. It is better off in your hands than one, my own. I'll make a mess of it. And two, with me panicking over it. And sometimes what we can also do is play Indian giver. We'll give it into his hands and we're like, we trust you. But then you keep stressing out and worrying about it and complaining about it and doing all of the things that no, that's not it. You're basically taking it right back out of his hands because he's like, if you gave it to me, why are you stressed out? There's
Right.
nobody in the whole entire world that has you the way I have you. If you trust me with something, I will come through for you. I have a flawless track record of doing so. I will always show up. I will always handle it. I am the best father in the whole entire world. You have an enemy, I will get him. You have this, I will handle it. You have this problem, I'm going to move it for you. You have this sin you're struggling with, I'm going to take away the desire. Like I've got it, but you can't put it into my hands and then simultaneously stress out, freak out, worry about it, keep praying about it. Like I heard you the first time, my girl. I know the deep desires of your heart. I know this is aching you, paining you, all of the things. But if you keep taking it back into your hands, complaining about it to other people, thinking somebody else is going to fix it for you, whining about it, stressing out about it, he's like, no, you gave it to me. Now let me do what I do and stop
Mhm.
putting your hands back in the pot. Did you give it to me or not? Right.
Mhm.
And so it's like, I give it to you and I'm going to relax.
And it's a constant battle, though. It's not.
It's
We go through it, and it's an everyday choice.
Mhm.
It's not something that like you do once and then okay, well, I'm good. He tested me. Like it's every day. It's every season. There's so many seasons, and I've gotten to the point where everything's good, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm like not praying anymore. I'm not going to church anymore. And then that's when he does throw things at you to kind of be like, hi, here I am. Remember what you have because of me. So
Yeah, and you'll sit there
comes in
like,
a
oh
fun
my
light.
gosh, Satan's attacking me. No, he's not. God is reminding you that
Yep.
you need him.
Mm-hmm.
That you need him. It is not spiritual warfare. Trust me, the way that it feels, it is something different. Okay. It is something different than your car broke down and then this happened and then your kids are whining and this, that, and the other. And then this is happening. And that's just basic life. And we are tough enough to be able to handle it and stay on top of it. I mean, the spiritual battle, it's coming at you from all angles and it's deep and it's coming after your soul and you feel it. It is warring for every single piece of who you are. Okay, but a lot of the times it's just him saying, well, that's the only time you talk to me. So if the only time you talk to me is when shit's falling apart, guess what I'm going to do?
But
100%.
that also comes from us lacking obedience, right? Because it's
100%.
like once you start slipping, that's where I don't like he's not abruptly just gonna be like, I'm gonna shake things up just because you're being so good, It's like I'm gonna shake things up because you're straying and you need to come back,
Yeah.
And I need to remind you until I'm going to get your attention because you need me and we have work to do. I have people
Mhm.
that I need you
Your
to help.
purpose
I
is
have
so much bigger
people.
than this. Stop getting distracted.
Yeah, people are
But
in
it
front of you.
happens to all of us. It's a very
Yep.
normal thing.
It happens
Yes.
to me
But
still
we just have
every
to know how
single
to
day.
redirect it and fix it and be like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's not mad about it. Like I said, like what we view as shame, what we view as like we self-sabotage ourselves and disconnect ourselves from him because especially for those of us that we don't have a super healthy awareness or of men. Maybe there really hasn't ever been this like healthy male relationship. We've never really seen it. We just have a very skewed version, and so it's everything, every mistake, it's like we feel shame, like he's going to be so mad at us, he's going to stop blessing us, he's going to stop doing this, and we view him as that's not him. That is not him. We're doing that to ourselves. He's like, hey, it's okay. Join the club, okay, of human nature. I love the crap out of you. It's all good. Okay. Just let's get it together because I have so many people aligned
Yep.
already that you are specifically called to help. And I need you to get it together.
Yeah.
100%. And I also think too that when we don't know, like, how, if it feels like, oh, well, I have to turn, I have to figure it out, like, I have to do this, like, it's really more so like, help me, Jesus, because I can't, because I can't do it.
And
Like,
doesn't
I
that's
need
the best
you.
feeling when you
Yeah.
tell him, you're just like, I know I am not capable of doing
I
it.
suck at this, like, but
I
you're good at
can't.
this. So I'm going to rely on you to
Yeah.
like pull me out of it. And I think obedience, like me and Shell have literally been talking about this all week, is just like how
Every day.
important obedience every day, because everybody struggles with it. But the truth of
Mhm.
the matter is, when you are walking in obedience, and nobody's saying it's hard and nobody's saying that they're perfect and that they do it perfectly all the time, because no sin is greater than the other. Somebody cussing in God's eyes is the same as somebody committing adultery. There's no like up or more, down or whatever. So no matter what, we're all struggling with it. But I think that the more obedient you are and the more in line that you walk, the louder God's voice gets, the louder the conviction is. That shame can sometimes feel like shame, but it's conviction. And just know that conviction's a good sign. That means God's there. If you don't
Exactly.
have conviction and you're just doing it and you're like, I
That's
feel great,
where psychopaths are born. They don't feel
they don't feel
remorse
it.
for anything. They just
Right.
don't. It
Right.
is healthy to feel
Conviction.
guilty for the things that you
Yeah.
know you shouldn't be doing because you know you're better. You know your calling's higher. You know that your purpose is so much larger than the things you're currently allowing yourself to do.
Yeah.
So it's not, because walking with him, it's not
Yeah.
pretty. It doesn't.
I have to go in like 2 minutes because it's earlier and my kids are feral right now. But there
Mhm.
was something in church today that I thought was so good. And I sent it to Shell because I literally have my little book out and everything because I thought it was so on point for everything we've been talking about. But
Yes.
one thing I feel like that I'm just going to try and make like a pillar and just ask God to remind me of constantly is, he said, like, whatever glory you're living for that's earthly is fleeting. Like,
Mhm.
if you think about it, your great grandchildren, they won't even know your name. Your great great grandchildren will barely know you existed. Like, don't live for a perishable crown and instead live for eternal glory. And that's what we should focus on, less about the flesh and what feels good now. And it's not really about that at all. It's just about asking God to do as much work on us as possible to get as many people with us to heaven as we possibly can. That's it. Like, that is literally the main goal in life. And we're going to stumble and we're going to fall and we're going to stray away, but he's going
And
to
in
send.
those stumbles and falls, if we utilize it and we
Yes.
allow him to touch it, we get to help people. Every
Yes.
single stumble and fall and mistake gets utilized once we
Yes.
overcome it. Then it's like, now I get to connect with a whole different sphere of people that maybe that mistake is something that they won't say out of their mouths, but I said it out of my mouth. And now I'm able to have somebody come to me and say, I'm struggling with this. Hey, here's what I did. Here's how I overcame it. And so the
Right.
stumbles and falls, they're utilized once we
Right.
overcome them.
And this is on a very deeply personal thing, and there's not a lot of people on this call, but in the situation that I'm in with my husband, that's detrimental and dire and like absolutely flipped our life upside down. That same stumble and fall that he did, even though he stumbled and fell down a 70-story cliff, is the same grounds for forgiveness. And that same level of forgiveness you should offer to yourself. Should never count yourself out or count somebody else out. And whatever trial or trouble that you're going through, I mean, we could all think about the one side of it, but the other side is like, man, if we make it through this, like my personal experience, my husband and I make it through this, and and God actually works miracles, because that's what it's going to take. Imagine the testimony to other people, because this is a very unique situation. And the situation my husband and I are in are very unique. And other people are going to come to us with not less trouble, but maybe
No,
not, not as like heavy. And we'll be able to look at them and be like, your marriage is so powerful and that covenant with God is so powerful and it can overcome so much. Look at what we overcame. And it was only by the grace of God, only by God's forgiveness. Don't cry, because I'm going to cry.
I'm
only
trying not
by,
to.
only by God's forgiveness, only by him and his grace. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't make it through. So on all the times that the enemy, this is spiritual warfare, tries to get in my head, like, there's no way. Like, how could you? You deserve so much better. Go out there, live your best life. You'll find someone better. La, 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 la. On my other hand, I have God and little angel soldiers that he sent into my life that will be there to remind you, yeah, but like, what if he does? Like, what if he does work the miracle? Like, the amount of lives you'll be able to touch because you relied on God to pull you through a trial, no matter how deep and dark it is.
And especially in today's world where it's like more people split than they stay, and
Yes.
not everybody has really like, biblically, I guess, like very solid grounds to even do so, but they do. Adultery is like the main thing, really the only thing that biblically is a valid reason to leave. But
It goes
like,
a little deeper than just that. There is a lot of, as soon as a man has detached himself from the the marriage,
Abandoned is one excuse. Yep.
abandoned
Death.
the marriage, where they have fully, I mean, and that's only because, you guys, I went to 32 churches to try and have somebody tell me a different answer when because I wanted to stay. I'm like, that's what the
yeah, but
Bible
you were
says.
like, you
And
have like
everybody's telling me,
everything against you.
yeah, but they were just like, he has abandoned, like, I will never forget it. They said, right now, just you're married to Jesus. You are
Yep.
married to Jesus. That's what you are. You are married to Jesus. That's how
Mhm.
you need to view it. Hand in
Mhm.
hand with him. You're married to Jesus. Just stay focused on that. As soon as I made that shift, it might have looked like life was falling apart. However, it was that is what carried me through, because that was my fill-in husband at the moment. And when I started viewing it that way, it's like, because he had abandoned in a million different ways. So there is reason. So if you're in an abusive scenario, you
Absolutely.
100%
No, but
100%.
I mean, in today's
get
world, it's
out.
like most people are just like,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Oh,
minuscule.
I don't love you anymore.
I'm not
I
happy
don't have
this is
anymore.
hard.
Yeah.
feelings anymore. Are you kidding me? There's
Mhm.
99% of the time, day in and day out with my kids, I'm just like, I'm obsessed with them, but they drive
Yeah.
you nuts with them every
Right.
single day. They drive you crazy.
Mhm.
But you don't leave them.
Right. And then anybody too that's in trial, like, I will stand, this will forever be part of my testimony for the rest of my life and what I'll tell my kids. The reason why I know God is so present, why I have an unwavering faith that he'll pull me through what is now the darkest and most trying time I have ever been through in my life. Like I am in it. We're in the fire right now. The reason why I know he's so prevalent is because I should not have as much peace as I have. I
Mhm.
should not be as joyful as I am. I shouldn't. I should probably be medicated. I should probably have a drinking problem. I should probably have something, but there is so much peace and joy. And yes, does it come from the incredible support system around me? But truly, you guys, like my life has fallen apart in the last 2 years. Like I would never think I'd be here 2 years ago. But for some reason, y'all, I'm just like, man, God's got something really, really, really big on the other side of it. And I'm excited for it. I don't have a reason to be excited because it's not very
Yeah.
exciting, but
You
I
don't
am
even know what
very
it looks
excited.
like, you know, and
Yes.
it can, and
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, we just don't know. Like what I would
Right.
have thought was going to come on the other side, what I kept going to the altar at church to pray about, I was holding on so tight to fix a very specific scenario. He had entirely different plans. And it wasn't until I just completely fell into full surrender,
Yeah.
full obedience that he was like, I know this is what you're praying for, but this life is going to look entirely different, something you wouldn't even I couldn't have created it for myself. I would have never even had that vision for myself because I was so set on this one specific scenario getting fixed because that's what I thought I was supposed to do as a wife, as a woman, is just hammer into that one scenario, like altar. There was not an altar call that I did not. It was every single Sunday, just begging. And then finally I was like, I'm gonna shift my prayers. I'm just like, God, have your way, no matter what that looks like. Everything changed in a way that I wouldn't have really thought. So we don't know what it's gonna look like. But we do know that if he's involved in the story, it's going to be far better than we could have ever created for ourselves.
Well, just a shift. Like it's so crazy. Like Sophia said, you could be in the thick of things, but something about the peace that he puts over you when you leave it to him, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like he just you find yourself like not worried and you're not scared and it's in crazy sauce, but it's like he just takes it all from you. It's pretty amazing.
And if you're not currently going through a war in your personal life, maybe you're like, well, I mean, life's pretty chill, I'm happy, all the things. Stand in the gap for somebody else. Go to prayer war for on somebody else's behalf. Like get in there with somebody and be that person that can drop on the knee. Like prayer is so powerful. Nobody needs to know about it. Nobody needs to see it. But when you are warring on behalf of somebody else's life, like things do in fact shift. And you'll watch it happen in their life. Bye, love you so much. You'll watch it happen in their life. Shall because we're like talking like when you're in it, you got a war, but
Yeah.
sometimes maybe life doesn't
There's
really
some
look like that. You
in
don't really have a ton of crazy shit going on. You hear our stories and you're like, whoa, these women are really going through it, right? But it's you can equip and build yourself still to go to war for other people. God has us all in different seasons for different reasons. And you are here in this place to learn and to be alongside of community, maybe for a different purpose. Maybe, you were battling loneliness that, or you wanted community, you wanted fellowship, whatever it may be.
Well, yeah, and like last week at my church, we were talking about he was just like trying to encourage people to share their faith, but not in a toxic way. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes
Which is
people.
so typical.
Yeah, like he was giving this example of a widowed woman who, just maybe lost her spouse. And it was the first time she was going out into public.
Mhm.
And, someone came up to her and was just like, have you ever lied? Well, then you're a liar. Have you ever this? Well, then you're that. And just like crucifying her, right? And that will never draw somebody closer to Jesus by telling them about their sins, right? What
Ever. We're all aware.
Yeah, and he was like, what brings people in is by the way you treat people, the way that your kindness, your grace,
That
your
you love.
yeah, like truly drawing people to Jesus is you being that vessel of trying to love like he does and exuding that, you know,
You're in
and
a dangerous place if you start utilizing this to think you're God in somebody else's life. That is a
right.
dangerous place to be in, is if you start diving into this and learning it and you start utilizing it to hit people over the head.
Yeah.
Don't do that. This
Yeah.
is not, this is for you. This is meant for you, you know?
Yeah. And it's just extending that arm. Like maybe you're not in the trenches right now, but like you know somebody who is. It doesn't mean that you have to read scripture to them. It's you just showing them like a hand reaching out. That's what brings them to Jesus. It's your grace, your love, your just heart posture towards them when maybe there's no one else doing that. You
We
know,
are we are the billboards. We're the only experience or touch of him a lot of people will ever have. That's the point. We're the boots on the ground. He said, everything I am instilling into you guys now, so that way you guys can do 10 times more than I ever did. He's no longer doing, the in-person miracles. He needed that for this, those burning bushes, those all of these big things. Now he says, you guys are. You guys are the boots on the ground. You guys are the billboard. So we have to be mindful and ensure that the way that we operate our life isn't through telling people what is they're doing wrong, that there is something within us that could make even the most broken of person, maybe the biggest unbeliever, say, there's something about her that I want a little bit more of. And when they figure out that that little something more is
it's
Jesus,
him.
you have now just made this connection. That is where your treasures are stored up in heaven. Every time you did that one thing and maybe made somebody feel like there's hope for their lives, or that they're not abandoned, that they're not lost, that they're not worthless, that you might be the only touch that they have ever even experienced. And when you just look at somebody with a smile and just tell them how loved they are, you would be shocked by how many people you'll find out when you get to the gates of heaven that you shifted the trajectory of their life with just that one moment that maybe you'll never know about.
And that can change their whole family's lives. And that's where like the generational thing comes in, because you might have just changed the whole navigated their whole life and generations beyond that just by being that vessel. And it's
Yeah, and it's hard to change some generations. So if you're called in your family to be the difference, the first one that steps in and steps up and starts making that change, oh my gosh, of course it's going to be so hard. But, it was running into your family until it ran into you, and you are that person that's standing in the gap that's now going to change moving forward how your kids raise their kids, how their kids raise their kids, and next thing you know, you just created this entirely different atmosphere for what once was your family's storyline.
And it's so wild too because like Taylor said, you might not even know if you ever did, but then also there might be people who are kind of like, depending on how outspoken you are about your faith on social media, there might be or not, or just like in your community or whatever, you in your family, in your friend group, whatever it may look like. But it's just continually extending that olive branch. Like I had someone kind of like try to ridicule me of like, "Oh, be careful of that person about," and I just responded with like, "I have nothing to be concerned about," And it's like, "Oh," and immediately she felt convicted of like even saying something like that. And then next thing you know, she was like, you're so right. I shouldn't be judge other people. And what'd she say? Something like, you just humbled me really quick. And I didn't even say anything to try and humble her other than I think this is just somebody who could use a little love. And then she felt instant guilt
Yeah,
of
maybe it's
so
that
hard.
person is tapped out on everybody having that judgment, or especially over just
Yeah.
things that they heard, or they this, or and all these whispers and all these things. It's like, okay, cool. You can be that person. I'm actually going to go into it full open hearted, because you can't do anything to me. Like, I don't need to be cautious and careful. Like,
not worried about being pulled into a life of sin to the degree
Right,
that you're
right.
judging. I'm more so trying to help somebody get out of it who desperately is seeking it. And it's like it's sometimes even those types of things where you're shifting people's mindsets that you might not even realize. Like she came to me probably thinking maybe my response was going to be like gossiping back, or maybe like, oh, like, what are you talking about? I didn't ask what she had to say about this person. I didn't ask what she had heard about this person.
You don't
I
care.
didn't care. All I know is that this person I feel very strongly pulled towards because she needs a little bit of love, right? Or a little bit of light or something to pull her out of the dark. And that person I've actually been with in the known her past. And she was like, you know what? I shouldn't be that way. You were my friend when I should have been judged and this and that. You know what? Will you ask her if she ever wants to go to church with me? And that's how the conversation ended up ending.
Mm,
It's like sometimes even you might be shifting people's minds and heart postures to be a little more open towards others that don't even have to do with maybe your circle, but like maybe she'll
you shouldn't be listening
extend a
to
little bit
me.
of grace to other people.
Yeah. It's like, okay, and I trust in my God enough to where it's time for me to pivot and move on to the next circumstance. Like I can only do so much, and
Right.
I trust that God is going to let me know when that time comes, and I'll talk to him about it. I
Yeah.
don't need to be sitting here talking to everybody else because, you know, sitting around talking about other people's sins, what does that make you? That
Well,
is
and it literally
so
says in the Bible that
much worse.
yeah.
That's so much worse. You know what I mean? So, and it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. And we've all experienced it from the hands of religious folks, right? It's this judgment. I know me and Chels get it for, say the size of our boobs or the way that we look or whatever it may be. And it's like, yeah, you're viewing it from your lens, but if you only knew my heart, like my heart would never write somebody that message. My heart couldn't even fathom projecting something like that on a female. My
Well,
heart
that's just
couldn't
something about
dare.
them, not us or you.
Right.
It's and that's how you have to see it, and that's why I love a lot of Romans. It just there's just a lot of life application that I've like taken and at the end of the day, like let people say what they want to say, let people do what they want to do. It all that matters is you and him. And once you like sound out all that noise and you just worry about you and him, everything else falls into place. Like your relationships, your friendships, you talking, wanting to gossip and hearing people gossip, you don't and you stray from that because
And the more you dive into this, the more uncomfortable those kind of conversations are going to make you. You're going to notice it and you're all of a sudden going to be really irritated. And it's really challenging to start experiencing that irritation and to stay soft. So it's important to remind yourself I am now, when you start diving into him, you have a hyper awareness for things that just, oh my gosh, that maybe didn't bother you before,
Oh,
but
it's like a veil comes off and you're
yeah,
just
now when you hear it, your skin crawls. Now when you're in that conversation, you're bothered. It's like all of a sudden, it's like the tables you used to sit at are no longer comfortable because you feel this energy and you're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And it can make us agitated. It can make us bitter. It can make us, if we're not careful, we can start being a little judgmental as well. And then they start
and
viewing it as she's diving into Jesus. And then she just totally like starts snarking at us back. But it's okay to start leaving those rooms, but to
it's
understand
okay to
also,
love people from a distance.
yeah, and the power we actually have in our voice to shift narratives. There's the amount of times I've been in, that's why I'm always around with the teenage girls because I have the opportunity to shift a conversation and
Yes.
feel uncomfortable about doing that. If you feel uncomfortable with me shifting it, that's a you problem. You can deal with that. I don't feel uncomfortable saying, you know what? I don't like fully agree with that. Let's shift because that's actually none of our business. Or, hey, you know what? Kind of strange thing to talk about. Let's talk about something else. Hey, I'm not super
but
into
and
that.
it will help them so much like with the way that they speak and or the conversations they entertain, you
And they
know?
might reject you a little bit. They might not want to hang out with you. Good. Isn't that kind of the point? I mean, that's kind of the point, right? So, but you'll notice this irritation kind of start happening, and it does happen where it's just things that were okay before, just no, they don't feel good anymore. And you're just like, ooh, and that's really hard because maybe you're realizing the people around you, like, they're just no longer people that are kind of safe to your energy. You can still love them. That is our only job. That's it. That's our only job. You can still love them through a distance. You don't have to give people access to you. You can just say, hey, you know what? I'm not super great with this combo. I love you guys so much. I'm out. They're all gonna, you already know when you get up from the table, they're gonna talk shit about you. You already know that because you just exposed them. So you know when you get up and you leave, and a lot of people will stay sitting at that table to avoid getting up, walking away, and being spoken about. But they were already going to do it anyways because they were just speaking about all these other people at the table. Be okay with that being what you're spoken about. Because what, somebody's going to ask, why aren't you friends with her anymore? Well, she was like at the table and she said like she didn't want to gossip about that girl anymore. That's not probably what they're going to say because that would be the truth. They're not going to do that. They're going to pin you. Well, she loves Jesus now and she just like thinks she's all that and cool and she doesn't want to hang out. That's probably what they're going to say. Either way, it doesn't matter. You know
Yeah.
the truth and why you got up and walked away from the table. Allow people to talk about you, but you planted a seed in that moment. And when that time comes, there's going to be some of them that probably come back to you and are like, in that moment, like, I didn't get it. I get it now. And like, I respect that, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the one that Charles is talking about. And I was reading this and I do want to, repeat it and then we can wrap it up. But do
Yeah.
not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. Why? That is not you being weak. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on their head through doing good to
Hmm.
those who hurt you, through doing good to evil. It is not like it is a power move. That doesn't mean hang out with them. That doesn't mean invite them over and have sleepover parties and go out for drinks and do all the things. And no, it means if they're hungry, give them something to eat. If they're thirsty, give them something to drink. Okay.
If they showed up at your door crying, starving, yeah, give them, you be the kind, godly human that you can be, and you let God handle the rest. And let me tell you, it's rough sometimes with
Oh
some
my
people.
gosh, it's so hard.
But I just remember saying that, and I remember doing that, and I remember just being like, "Oh, but you don't even know," and I'd
If you
woosah.
and because people around you are going to tell you, why are you being kind to that person? That's what you're going to hear. That's what you're going to hear. Why are you doing that? Like they did X and they did Y, and because it's not my job.
Because at the end
Are
of the
they my
day,
best
being
friend?
mean
Are they
back
part of
to
my small
someone.
apostle group, my disciples, the people I bring with me? No, Jesus's group was very, very, very small. And even one of those people within that, I mean, was look, he completely betrayed him. Like completely betrayed him. And and Jesus and God knew that was going to happen. That was part of the story. He knew that. And he still washed his feet. He still was it is what it is, right? But he had a very small circle and he still showed kindness because it's God's job. It's God's job to do the hard stuff, which feels good, guys, because you don't even have to carry that around. You don't even have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get them back or pay them back or do, you know how many people screw me over? And you know how many times I've wanted to be, what's the word? Like petty.
Hmm. Oh.
Oh my gosh, I'd be so good at it. Like
You
if
would.
I would allow myself, I'd be so good at it. But it's not my job and it's not my place and it's not my business. So I just keep my mouth shut. And
That's
that
all
allows
you can
people to
do.
make up whatever narrative they want. That allows people to be able to say what they want, make up whatever narrative they want. And that's none of my business either.
And it doesn't bother you because you're just like in your world, doing your thing. You got your people, you got you got your relationship with God, and it doesn't bother you. It's just like, hey, go ahead, figure it out. I don't know what to tell you. Keep
It hurts
going.
if it's closer to home, but then sometimes did we maybe prioritize certain relationships more than we should have? You know, if somebody's deeply hurting us to that degree, maybe we were putting a little bit too much emphasis on who that person was in our life,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Well, we love you guys so much. Happy Sunday. This was great little girl sesh. And
Little soul food.
yes, I love seeing your faces. I love seeing Nicole's face and Cassie's face and Monica's face. And I love seeing you guys in the chat. And we just
And thank you for still being here. Truly, I
yeah.
mean, I don't know how many people are reading along or not reading along. We don't know that. We just know, who kind of like chimes in here a little there, tags us or hops on here. But I mean, if you think about it, almost like 1,000 women, and there's like however many of us right now. It's really
But
cool.
it's the road is narrow, and this
It
this is
is
this is every aspect of life. I mean, we see this in business, we see this in everything. Like, there's the ones who
everything.
start, and especially when how many times we've seen this in the world, people get really riled up about an injustice or something that happened. We've seen it over and over and over and over and over again over the past few years. Like an injustice happens, and we feel moved and we feel called. And it's this temporary like burst of I'm going to change. I want to do something impactful in the world, and then everybody just goes back to their regular lives.
Yep.
And it's like, it just, it is what it is, but you girls are still pushing forward, and it's a journey. It's a forever journey. It's for the rest of your life journey. And all of our stories end up the same. Like, no matter what, we all have the same end story. We pass away and we go to heaven, hopefully. And, it's no matter what, that is everybody's last page in the book, right? Like, it is what it is. We're all in the same sinking boat here on earth, but wouldn't that mean that your time that you're here, those middle pages, wouldn't you want that to be so much bigger than if we all know that that's how it ends? Wouldn't we want to not spend one single day not creating, building, loving, doing something other than vegging out and kind of like wasting this precious and beautiful life? Like, if we all know that that's how it ends, why would we not create these middle chapters into being like just straight out of heaven? Right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
proud of you guys. And I mean, I'm guilty of, I think I completely missed week 6. Yeah, sure did. Um, it that's the best part about God, I wasn't disconnected from him. Oh, no, no, no. I needed him more than ever. I kind of went rogue on everybody in my life, and it was just me and him there for a little bit because I was like, I need you, and nothing else. And it is what it is. As long as you're checking in with him, make sure you don't go a day without checking in with him because we need him
Mm-hmm.
bad, real bad,
Every day.
every day. We love you.
Have the best rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.